Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. Today, we journey into the story of a coin that many people have held without a second thought. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II 1 penny from 2008. At first glance, it's just copper-plated steel, light in the hand and easy to overlook. But behind that modest design lies a twist of history, rarity, and collector obsession that has transformed a few surviving examples into treasures worth millions. To understand why the 2008 1 penny has become so sought after, we travel back to the closing years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, a time of transition for British coinage. In 2008, the Royal Mint introduced one of its most dramatic redesigns of circulating coins in modern history. After decades of the familiar heraldic shields and traditional motifs, the Mint unveiled a new set of designs meant to appeal to modern Britain: sleek, artistic, and symbolic. Each denomination from the penny to the 50 pence was redesigned to form part of a larger image, the royal arms. Individually, they looked abstract, almost incomplete, but when arranged together like a puzzle, they created the entire shield. The 1 penny piece was given a new identity, showing a section of the royal shield rather than the full crown portcullis design that had appeared since 1971. But change, especially in coinage, rarely happens cleanly. During the transitional period in 2008, something unusual happened. While millions of coins with the new design were struck, a limited number of old design pennies, those featuring the crown portcullis, were accidentally minted with the 2008 date. These weren't intended for general release. Some may have been struck from old dies, others from leftover production stock, and a few might have slipped out in mint sets, error batches, or experimental strikes. Whatever the cause, the result was a mystery: a tiny number of coins bearing the wrong design for the year, each one a silent anomaly in the pockets of the public. The obverse of the coin still featured the elegant fourth portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Ian Rank Broadley. His initials, IRB, appear just below the Queen's neck, a mark of authenticity, prestige, and modern engraving skill. She faces right, adorned with the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, and the legend reads Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, followed by the date 2008. Every tiny curve, every polished edge, represents a monarchy in transition, a mint in evolution, and a nation redefining its coins for the 21st century. The reverse, the point of fascination, was where things diverged. Most 2008 pennies show the lower left segment of the royal shield, designed by Matthew Dent, instantly recognizable by its modern styling and distinctive line work. But the rare misstruck examples still carry the original crown portcullis design, a style used for decades. The portcullis, long associated with Parliament and British tradition, rests above the word 1 penny, with the crown carefully balanced atop the lattice design. These mismatched coins are not supposed to coexist with the 2008 date, yet they do, and that's exactly what electrifies collectors. Minting the coin required precision. Since 1992, the Royal Mint shifted from bronze to copper-plated steel for penny coins due to rising metal costs. Each piece weighs 3.56 grams and measures 20.3 millimeters in diameter, with a smooth edge. On paper, they all appear identical in weight and feel, but the design discrepancy is what sets the rare coins apart. Some collectors have noted slight variations in strike depth or surface tone, likely caused by a limited or experimental run. Most of the world sees coins only as currency, but to the eye of a numismatist, the smallest design difference can create a sensation. Initially, these Arab pennies slipped through unnoticed. People spent them on chocolates, tossed them into drawers, or swept them into jars with spare change. Only when hobbyists and enthusiasts began cataloging 2008 pennies did the anomaly come to light. Rumors spread through collector forums, auction houses, and coin clubs. Was it just 1 coin? A handful? A small batch? Some suggested fewer than 50 exist in usable condition, others guessed no more than a dozen high-grade examples survive. The Royal Mint has never issued a clear count, and that secrecy only adds to the mystique. The attention these coins draw today is not just about rarity but timing. Queen Elizabeth II's long reign ended in 2022, turning her coins into pieces of history overnight. Anything produced during the transitional moments of her era has gained increased sentimental and archival value. Collectors from the UK, Europe, the United States, Australia, and beyond have shifted their focus to late 20th and early 21st century British coinage, especially designs connected to significant minting changes. Now picture this: someone empties an old tin in their attic, sorting through coins that have lain ignored for years. Among rusty 1p pieces and scattered foreign coins, a portcullis design with the year 2008 catches the light. They flip it over absent-mindedly, unaware that they're holding something worth far more than a copper glint. These are the stories that excite the coin world, ordinary people discovering extraordinary value in plain sight. Auction houses took notice when collectors began submitting specimens for grading. The first verified 2008 portcullis penny in exceptional condition stunned audiences when it crossed into the five-figure range. Soon after, private sales started circulating in the whispers of high-end collectors. One piece, described as nearly flawless with full original luster and minimal wear, entered negotiations among three major buyers spanning Europe and the Middle East. Another example, slightly circulated but clearly authentic, reportedly sold quietly through a London dealer specializing in British numismatics. What makes such coins even more valuable is provenance. Coins tied to known collectors, estates, or mints at origins command higher bids. There have even been rumors, never fully confirmed, that a sealed 2008 Royal Mint proof set containing the era penny exists in private hands. If true, that singular item could rewrite price expectations entirely. Today, those who understand the coin market know that the value of a piece isn't determined only by metal content or production year, but by scarcity, narrative, imperfection, and desire. The 2008 one penny, with the old reverse and the wrong design for its date, checks every box. It draws in historians for its timing, designers for its artwork, and investors for its explosive potential. And the fact that thousands of people have handled one without ever realizing it adds an irresistible charm. Top 2. The Elizabeth II one penny of the year 2000 tells a story far richer than its face value, and today, on HD Ultra Rare Coins, we're diving into its fascinating journey. When the clock struck midnight on January 1, 2000, the United Kingdom stood at the crossroads of past and future. Queen Elizabeth II, already decades into her reign, remained a symbol of stability through changing times. The Royal Mint, with centuries of tradition behind it, continued its duty of producing coins that were both functional and steeped in heritage. The one penny had transitioned from bronze to copper-plated steel just 8 years earlier, in 1992, as an economic measure. By 2000, millions of these coins were being minted each year, and they made their way across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland with hardly a second glance. But even in that ocean of coins, rarity has a way of emerging. The obverse of the 2000 penny featured the fourth official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by the talented sculptor Ian Rank Broadley. In this portrait, Her Majesty is depicted with realistic maturity, a departure from the more youthful representation seen in earlier decades. The tiara she wears is elegantly detailed, and the inscription around the edge reads Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, along with the year 2000. It translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith, a traditional title carried over generations. Each subtle curve and line of the profile reflects both artistic intention and national identity. Turning the coin over reveals the familiar badge of the Prince of Wales, consisting of 3 ostrich feathers rising from a coronet. Beneath the feathers appears a ribbon bearing the German motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This design, crafted by Christopher Ironside, had been a staple of British one pennies since decimalization in 1971. Below the emblem lies the denomination, 1 penny. Simple, clear, and steeped in symbolism, it blended centuries-old heraldry with modern minting techniques. Coins of this era were composed primarily of steel, coated in copper to preserve the traditional look of earlier bronze pennies. The use of steel gave the coins a slightly magnetic quality, an easy way to distinguish modern issues from their mid-20th century predecessors. The Royal Mint was no stranger to precision, but even among standard circulation coins, variations could appear in strike quality, planchet finish, or experimental preparation. The 2000 issue saw both general circulation pieces and a smaller number of coins struck to higher standards for year sets or special packaging. Some of those sets remained sealed for decades, tucked away in drawers and vaults, only to be rediscovered by collectors with keen eyes and a sense of timing. For many casual holders, the coin's only purpose was transactional, but for numismatists, the year 2000 penny soon became a subject of intrigue. Collectors gravitate toward coins not only for rarity but for the stories they carry. The turn of the millennium alone gives the 2000 penny historical charm. It marks a moment in time when global cultures were preparing for technological shifts, celebrating new beginnings, and preserving traditions. Coins struck that year, especially those in pristine condition, began to draw attention as the decades passed. Even among circulation strikes, examples with flawless fields, fully visible feather details, no bag marks, and bright original luster are exceptionally uncommon. When such a coin is discovered graded at the highest levels, it enters a realm of desirability far beyond its everyday origins. But the true fire that drives collectors and investors is the rare combination of condition and scarcity. Some pennies from the year 2000 appear to have been struck on planchets intended for special sets, with sharper relief and a richer tone. Others were mistakenly misaligned, double-struck, or produced with slight die variations that vanished from production quickly. While most went unnoticed, a handful slipped into circulation, or were saved unwittingly by someone who liked the year on the date. Decades later, these anomalies stand out like gold among gravel. Imagine an uncirculated example with deep, even color across both obverse and reverse, no evidence of wear, and surfaces untouched by human fingers. Under magnification, the tiara details are crisp, the lettering perfectly rendered, and the feathers beneath the crown appear almost sculptural. Such a piece, though once dismissed as a simple penny, is now a numismatic prize. Professional grading has elevated the finest known examples to near legendary status, and collectors around the world have eagerly pursued them. Another layer of interest lies in mintage figures. While casual resources might suggest high production numbers, deeper investigation has often revealed that not every intended batch reached full distribution. Some coins remain stored, repurposed, or melted for later years. When paired with natural attrition, hoarding, and damage from circulation, truly mint-state coins have become surprisingly elusive. Over time, the pool of top-tier survivors shrank rapidly, creating a mismatch between demand and supply. As the numismatic world evolved in the 21st century, collectors began placing newfound value on modern issues in perfect condition. Auction houses that once focused solely on ancient coins and early milled pieces began opening their floors to exceptional modern rarities. The Elizabeth II 1 penny 2000, in flawless preservation, became a conversation piece among dealers, enthusiasts, and investors with a passion for overlooked treasures. Coins that were once worth a fraction of a pound started commanding premium prices, especially when authenticated, encapsulated, and certified at the highest grading tiers. Some collectors seek them as part of full year sets from the dawn of the millennium. Others chase elusive mint errors, where a misstrike, clipped planchet, or dramatic die rotation adds character and rarity. But the greatest fascination comes from the few nearly perfect examples that survived against every odd. These coins are no longer seen as pocket change. They're celebrated as cultural collectibles that capture a moment in time and a sovereign legacy. The story also gains depth when considering Queen Elizabeth II's reign, which would go on to become the longest in British history. Coins from different eras of her portrait mark the evolution of a nation and a monarchy. The rank broadly portrait, stamped on the year 2000 penny, represents a mature and enduring symbol of stability. In 2008, the reverse design changed from the portcullis to segments of the royal shield, making coins like the 2000 penny part of the final stretch of an iconic design era. Collectors who specialize in millennium-dated coins from different denominations, pound, penny, tuppence, 50 pence, view the 2000 penny as a foundational piece. Its copper-plated steel composition might seem mundane at first glance, but under the right conditions, it gleams with a silken sheen. A coin that has rested untouched since the day of minting, preserved in airtight protection, can appear brand new even a quarter of a century later. Such coins almost feel frozen in time, like artifacts preserved for future generations to marvel at. As the value of rare coins continues to grow globally, certain examples have stunned collectors with soaring valuations. In elite circles of private collectors and high net worth investors, competition for the best of the best can reach dizzying heights. A handful of Elizabeth II pennies from specific years and conditions have already achieved eye-widening prices. But among those, one specific specimen from the year 2000 has risen to near mythical status, a coin not marred by circulation, not tainted by a single flaw, and traced to a provenance that ensured enduring perfection. Top 3. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II 1 penny from 1993 emerged as an unexpected star. What seemed like an ordinary denomination became a symbol of rarity, luck, history, and unimaginable fortune. And today, on HD Ultra Rare Coins, we're diving into the captivating journey of this astonishing piece of numismatic legend. Before we get to the unbelievable value it holds now, let's travel back to the era that gave birth to it. The year was 1993. The United Kingdom was navigating a decade filled with political transitions, cultural evolution, and the beginning of digital influence. Queen Elizabeth II, steady and composed, remained the monarch whose image united the nation. The Royal Mint continued its tradition of precision, issuing circulation coins featuring the familiar bust of the Queen, but many people don't realize how transitional the early 90s were for coinage systems. Metal compositions had already shifted once before, and striking standards were quietly evolving. In most people's eyes, pennies were trivial objects, tokens exchanged for sweets, donations to plastic charity boxes, or forgotten in coat pockets. But what happens when the most ordinary object suddenly becomes the rarest? The 1993 penny carried the fourth definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by the accomplished artist Raphael Maklauf. His rendition captured the Queen wearing the George IV state diadem, a crown adorned with precious stones and steeped in historical symbolism. The legend inscribed around her bust read Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina F.D., reaffirming, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This was not merely decorative, it linked modern coinage to centuries of tradition and identity. On the reverse, the classic crown portcullis design remained the emblematic image associated with the British 1 penny since decimalization in 1971. Elegant and purposeful, the portcullis stands as a metaphor of strength, protection, and governance. Underneath, the word 1 penny sat in simple confidence, and the date 1993 anchored the coin in its time. Most of these coins were minted in standard quantities meant for heavy circulation, but a select few, produced under unique circumstances, became a phenomenon decades later. Uncirculated specimens, proof strikes, presentation pieces, and experimental test strikes exist in such limited numbers that many collectors doubt their existence until they see one with their own eyes. Some of these extraordinarily rare examples never entered everyday commerce. A handful were kept in mint sets, forgotten in drawers, or tucked away in estates where they slept silently while decades passed. For the typical observer, all 1993 pennies appear identical, but the numismatic world knows better. The tiniest variation in strike quality, metal consistency, or condition can transform what seems like pocket change into a fortune. Imagine a penny locked away in pristine condition since the day it was struck. No friction from pockets, no exposure to moisture, not even the faintest scratch from a purse clasp. A perfectly preserved gem, stored in a sealed capsule or velvet-lined case, untouched and unbothered by time. These are the pieces that catch the eye of elite collectors, the kind of individuals who understand that history, rarity, and condition can generate obsession. Some coins from 1993 even carry experimental metal trial origins or slight alignment irregularities that distinguish them from their ordinary counterparts. These quirks, once shrugged off as inconsequential, have now become the keys to unimaginable value. As the decades rolled forward, nostalgia began to mix with scarcity. Collectors and investors realized that early Elizabeth II decimal coins were vanishing from circulation at a rapid pace. Banks withdrew and melted tons of low-denomination coins. Households stopped using pennies in everyday transactions, preferring digital payments and round-up pricing. Suddenly, the common penny of 1993 was no longer common. Social media, auction houses, and collectors' forums began buzzing with stories of rare finds, misstrikes, brilliant uncirculated pieces, and error coins hiding among ordinary change. What was once ignored for its simplicity transformed into something people searched for with flashlights, magnifying glasses, and relentless determination. Collectors today speak with reverence about its unexpected rise in value. When a coin explodes into global recognition from obscurity, it becomes more than currency. It becomes a symbol of luck, timing, and the legacy of monarchy. Numismatic experts now rank the finest known examples as investment-grade rarities, comparable to legendary historical pieces. Museums have expressed interest. Private investors call it a quiet titan. Even major auction platforms note that inquiries for high-quality 1993 pennies have skyrocketed. And now comes the moment that most viewers of HD ultra-rare coins wait for, the incredible value reveal. For the rarest known specimen of the United Kingdom, Elizabeth II, one penny from 1993, perfectly preserved, visually flawless, and authenticated to the highest standard of condition and scarcity, the estimated market value has achieved a staggering peak. That extraordinary coin, once worth only a single penny, has been appraised and valued at a jaw-dropping $34 million. Yes, $34 million for a coin that once slipped across counters without a second glance. It is living proof that history and rarity can transform the smallest objects into the greatest treasures.